Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On 49er Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E. Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And today, the 49ers got football back in their lives and into our lives as well. And we saw ZHAUN Stribling absolutely ball out in his first action in a San Francisco 49ers uniform.
Hey everyone, I'm Dwayne Boyd, four-time Super Bowl champion with the San Francisco 49ers. And the thing that showed up today with a bunch of young guys, defensive linemen, in making plays. That's something that was kind of encouraging because the starters, a lot of them was on the sidelines wearing, guess what? Pajamas.
And speaking of flesh, I'm Eric Tanosley, analyst at the Draft Calculus Substack. And we'll be talking about how quarterback Kurtis Rourke got his first major action of his NFL career and what he looked like tonight against the Titans.
A lot of good stuff from the young 49ers tonight. We'll get into all that and more right now.
To all the faithful, it's the 49ers Squad. Everything San Francisco 49ers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from Levi Stadium. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. For those faithful to the Bay, the 49ers Squad Show starts now.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show, and shout out to all our everydayers tuning in on the Locked On 49ers YouTube channel or listening on the Locked On 49ers podcast feed. If you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button right now. And today's show is brought to you by KALSHI. For a limited time, download the KALSHI app and use code Locked On to get $10 when you trade $10. And guys, we got a lot to get into from this game, but I want to start with the biggest news, which was ZHAUN Stribling looked amazing tonight, man. And I mean, 6 catches, 67 yards, all coming in that first half. And the big play down the sideline, the back shoulder throw with a toe tap, the show of the great hands, the natural ability to track the ball, and just the athleticism that this guy had, just beating his defender on a 9 route. I mean, great stuff from ZHAUN Stribling. Kyle Shanahan said post-game that he looked a little shaky his first drive, and then after that, dude locked in. And the next 4 that he had, he was everywhere that he was supposed to be, and he had a great day overall. And Dwayne, we just got to get initial reactions on ZHAUN Stribling. What do you think of the rookie?
I thought he did well for his first showing, and you mentioned that the pass that I was impressed with was a back shoulder fade where he had to make an adjustment on the ball and he went up high and caught it, and that shows that he's NFL caliber. We hope that that he can just keep it up and keep improving each game. And sometimes when you're a rookie and you have success the first game, you think you've arrived, but hey, you wouldn't play in real ball today. Remember, it's preseason. When the game comes on and the checks are real, that's when the game changes.
Yeah, I mean, it is still preseason football, but at least you got to see him against the ones, right? Like the Titans were out there, the starters today, and Stribling looked pretty damn good, and he wasn't the only one. But just focusing on him for now, I mean, the way that he moves with the size that he has and lining up all over the field, by the way, like not just playing one position. This guy's lining up outside, he's playing in the slot, and he looks like he could handle it all. And Shanahan said post-game, this kid is going to be doing a lot of that this season, which I don't think was the plan going into the year when you still had Ricky Pearsall presumably going to be a factor in this wide receiver room. And obviously that won't be the case this year. So Stribling looks like the challenge isn't too big for him. And Ayrton, do you think that he's going to be somebody who, I mean, Dwayne said on this show before, he thinks Stribling is going to be the wide receiver 2 before the end of the year. Do you think that it's possible that if he keeps doing this in the preseason, he just starts out the season in that spot?
I think he does. You look at this guy, what he did today against the Titans. They're playing a decent number of their ones, as you mentioned, and already just showing out. The thing that really got me is he aligned in multiple different spots. It wasn't like he was stuck in one spot the entire time. Kind of showing the versatility that, Kyle Shanahan loves, especially when it comes to, manipulating space against defenses and how he deploys his wide receivers and weapons in the pass game overall. Just looking at the diversity and where he was lined up, even in a, kind of small sample size like this, he only had, he had I said 7 catches, 8 targets overall in the pass game. So it wasn't a ton of volume, but still, it was a good sign, and enough of a sign for me, at least, to think like, hey, if he ends up having to take on a bigger role as the season wears on, even more so than we were expecting. I'm pretty confident in him. The game doesn't seem too big for him. And we talked about it before, how he performed on the big stage in the college football playoff. So it's something where this guy's not afraid of the big stage at all. So coming into the NFL, as Shanahan said, kind of had that first drive and then he settled in. We're good to go. It's still football.
Yeah, those nerves. I mean, I can't imagine what that's like going out there for your first NFL action, looking around Levi Stadium, seeing all the pyrotechnics going off. You got the gigantic crowd just roaring, and I mean, it's got to take at least a second for you to snap into it. But like you said, Ayrton, it only took him that one drive before he seemed locked in. And I gotta shout out my guy Tim Ryan, T-Rock, because he came up with the absolute best. I mean, Tim Ryan always has the best like alliteration and like little sayings, little quips that he comes up with. And of course, he hits a home run with ZHAUN Stribling. He says he can't wait for ZHAUN Stribling to score his first TD so he can say on the call that he's getting into the Strib Club. And I absolutely love that, man. I mean, talk about a guy who is going to be cash money for your San Francisco 49ers this year. Oh man, it's going to be great. And I'm very excited about what this kid can do. The versatility, I think, is like the big thing here, because for a guy this early to be moving around in that many places in a Kyle Shanahan offense and not get lost is pretty impressive. Like, we see veterans on this team. Like, how many plays last year did you see guys who have been on this roster for like a number of years line up in the wrong spot? And you kind of had to like fix it at the line of scrimmage in the last second. And I mean, you get those procedural type penalties with the 49ers every so often, and usually it's the young players. ZHAUN Stribling did not look like he really needed too much, coaching out there on the field or corrections by anybody else out there. Like Rourke wasn't moving him around, telling him to get off the line or anything like that. He always seemed like he was lined up in the right spot. And that's, again, like the cerebral stuff is usually what keeps these young players off the field in the Kyle Shanahan system. If he's obviously got the physical tools, if the mental tools are there too, man, there's no stopping this kid. And Blaine, when you're thinking about what ZHAUN Stribling could eventually be, do you think that this is a guy who could be a legitimate star, like a number one wide receiver in the 49ers future?
Well, I think so. He has the attributes, He has the size, he has the speed and the hands. And the thing that's great for him is he's in a West Coast style offense. An offense is going to put the ball in the air, and the offense is going to be in a situation where, hey, you got to catch the ball as soon as you come out the break. Everything is timing, and to be able to move around and line up correctly, that's telling you that he has football sense. Yes, it kind of gets you. It used to get me all the time when a receiver lines up. Too many guys on the line of scrimmage. All you gotta do is look down the line of scrimmage and see who's on and who's off. It's that simple. But a lot of them can't do it, and he has it. He has that. He's a natural, and we hope that he can make it. I'm gonna knock on wood, because he can make it to the season and start and don't get one of those phantom, what they call it, soft tissue injuries.
Yeah, hopefully the electrical substation monster doesn't come out and grab him. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
by the way,
that's the only thing that's not in his favor, substation.
Yeah. And for everybody out there who's still stuck on this story, Pablo Torre finds out, did a gigantic long podcast on the electrical substation today. And if you're interested in doing even further of a deep dive than you've probably already done, you can go check that out. But I can't believe we're still talking about that, man, to be totally honest. But yeah, I mean, Stribling ultimately, he's like the complete package. And it's been, I think, a very long time since the 49ers have had a rookie wide receiver where you look at him and you say, man, this guy's got everything. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he's got the hands, he's got the route running, he's got the run after the catch. Like Brandon Ayuk had a lot of those things. Obviously didn't have the size. Brandon Ayuk's kind of a smaller wide receiver. He's not the smallest guy in the world, but he's not ZHAUN Stribling's size. He's not, I'm going to go over the middle and punish you if you try to tackle me. You're smaller than me size. And for the 49ers to have a guy like this, like I truly cannot think of a guy that was this toolsy coming into the league. I think I see the 15 and I kind of think physically sort of Michael Crabtree had all those things, but obviously Crabtree did not have I think, the same mental acuity for the game that you've already seen from ZHAUN Stribling. So I'm pretty high on this guy. I think the sky is the limit for this kid. I have not seen anything that suggests that he has really any massive holes in his game. And so, Ayrton, my question for you, is there really one area that you saw Stribling, or that you've seen from Stribling, that in general that he needs to improve on the most to be able to get better in the NFL?
I think it's really just a common thing that you see with a lot of younger wide receivers, which is just route running. And it's just understanding, going against defenses. I know he played in the SEC, so it's not like he was playing in a slouch conference. He wasn't playing in the Big 12 of old, where it was like the teams win 63-56 in the middle of October. So he was actually playing some good competition. So I think it's just something where, he's not necessarily that his route running is lacking, but it's just something as well when you get into a situation, get into an offense, as Dwayne's talking about, kind of a West Coast style, where it's like going to put the ball up for you, knowing your timing, getting in and out of your routes. Every rookie faces a little bit of an uphill battle, unless you're, Jamar Chase or Justin Jefferson. So, I'm not going to put Stribling there yet. I'm going to hold the horses a little bit, but I think that's just something where, as a young player coming in the NFL, his experience from the college ranks, ran the offense in Ole Miss was one of the better, conceptually, what they were doing overall is one of the better ones in the college ranks. So he comes from a good system, and it definitely sets him up for success, but there's still stuff to work on. And, that was one thing that kind of held Brandon Ayuk back for a little bit when he had that first year. He was in the doghouse, just sorting himself out. So, you're right, Eric, in saying that, like, he's off to a great start comparatively to a lot of rookie wide receivers we've seen for the 49ers for a while. But yeah, he could still work on his route running. There's always stuff to hone with his craft. He has that, as Dwayne was saying, has the speed, has the size. Just get a little bit more of that, a little more polish there. Sky is the limit.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited to see what this kid can do over the course of the season. Like you said, Dwayne, I really hope he just stays healthy. I really hope that the substation stuff doesn't come up and snag him. But wasn't the only rookie who looked really good today. We also had Gracen Halton, who was, in the backfield all the time today against the Titans and against the ones too. Like, this guy's going against one of the better offensive guards in the NFL, one of the highest paid offensive guards in the NFL, and whooping them. And that's a great sign. And Gracen Halton seems a little bigger to me than the 49ers had kind of thought he was going to be, or had told us. Like, he plays bigger. Like, this was a guy that we didn't think was going to be able to do too much in the run game. He was more going to be like a get pressure up the middle kind of guy, maybe using him on pass downs and stuff like that in passing situations. But what I saw from him today, he had the TFL in the run game. He also got back there for a sack that was negated. But he looked great out there. And Dwayne, being the D-line expert you are, tell me what Gracen Halton was doing out there to be so effective against the Titans' number one offensive guard.
Well, one thing he was doing was he was showing some quickness. He was flashing some quickness along with explosiveness. On the sack that he got, it was more of a power rush than anything. He really didn't have any moves in any deal that he really went to in his rush repertoire. He just used power and beat the guy, and he is, well, you got to look at where he played at. He played at Oklahoma. Okay. You got to think about back in the old days, the Selman brothers came out of there. In Oklahoma, they produced some good defensive linemen. And he's looked like he's going to be all right. Like you said, he didn't, in the beginning when they drafted him, I was thinking he was a lot smaller. But when he put his uniform on, he looked larger, and he looked like he belonged where he was inside. So that's a good thing. And another guy, that I thought flashed was number 55. He had a tackle for loss, and he pushed the pocket, and I was kind of impressed with him too a little bit.
Yeah, Valdez. He's been impressing us since last season, and when he was doing this in the preseason. But yeah, that TFL that he had on that run play where he just obliterated the entire interior of the Titans offensive line and got in the backfield with a quickness. It was like a 5-yard TFL. It was not like just a 1 or 2 or stuffed him just shy of the line of scrimmage. Like, that was a big boy TFL. And man,
it was. Yeah.
He looked fast. He looked big. I know he's got those short arms, but man, he seems to have all of the other tools. He's 300 pounds and he's moving that fast. There's got to be a a spot on this defense for him, right, Ayrton?
Absolutely. There's no way he's not making this team after a performance like that. I mean, I looked it up while you were chatting, just kind of introducing him a little bit. Peter Skoronski is the highest paid guard in the NFL. So he's the second highest paid interior. That's $100 million guard right there.
Wow.
And Halton was taking it to him. And that's exactly what you were, one of the things coming out of college is like we knew he had good get off, good speed, but could he have that power? And he was in the first opportunity he had on a national stage not in practice to show us. Yeah, can confirm he is more than just speed. He is absolutely power. And that's a guy where you looked at his body type coming out. It was kind of similar to Osa Odighizuwa. He's about 6'2", 6'3", just brushing up at 300 pounds. And I was like, okay, this is a guy where, compare him to Alfred Collins, who's big, 6'6", well over 300, long arms, kind of the big condor kind of guy to just swallow up blocks while letting, Odighizuwa and Halton go to work speed wise. The idea that, Halton has that type of power against top tier competition. This was not a backup Titans guard. This was a first stringer who is an $100 million player. So if he's able to do that in his first action, that is the kind of value you can't really, if you're getting that type of production, those types of flashes from your 4th round pick in his first preseason game, you're feeling very, very good about that defensive line rotation. So there's no way he's not breaking in at least a little bit. And that's definitely going to quell any concerns about CJ West and Alfred Collins as well. Just knowing you have a guy who can do that immediately.
Yeah. The number of like usable bodies that you have on this defensive line, like it's a deep group. Like there's a lot of guys on this team where like you get down into some of the, like the 3rd or 4th options for the pass rusher here. And it's still like, it's not something you want to be starting, the entire game, but like to have those guys be your rotational guys. I mean, I'm really encouraged by what I see with this defensive unit up front compared to what we saw last year. There's no way, like the 49ers had 3 sacks today. I don't think they had a single game with 3 sacks last year. And I know preseason, but man, like that's encouraging. Like we finally see something to get excited about up front. And that in conjunction with that, you also saw some good things on the back end of the defense as well. I mean, you talk about the 4th round pick being a flash on the defensive line for the 49ers. You also had a 4th round pick flash in the secondary with Price Hawk with a great PBU at the goal line against Carnell Tate. And Carnell Tate, wide receiver for the Titans, picked in the 5th overall, I believe he was. I mean, that was a great play. He started out on the inside of the receiver's shoulder, and he reached all the way across, showed his length, and caught up to the ball right at the last second for the PBU. Great play by Price Hawk. And Dwayne, I mean, you're seeing what this guy can do in man coverage, and we've known that that's kind of his bread and butter. But did he give you any signs today that he might be someone that the 49ers could transition to safety later on?
Well, I think so. Like you said earlier, that when you make a play like that on the goal line, don't matter who it's against, okay? It's something that you can hang your hat on. It. I think he has the ability to play the safety position, and I don't know how soon that they'll make that transition for him to put him, in there, because I liked him. I thought he was something that's a positive for the 49ers defense.
Oh no, we lost Eric.
There you go.
You got me?
Gotcha back.
All right,
you back.
My lights are starting to flicker over here in my apartment right now. So hopefully, whatever's going on electricity wise, hopefully it stables out throughout the rest of the show. But
substation's mad at you.
Yeah, substation. Stop calling out the substation.
Substation's attacking my house now, man. So if I drop off, just stand by and I'll do my best to get back. But back to the 49ers, man. This was a very good showing, I think, by all these young players, right? And if you have this many guys that are from this draft that are already looking this promising, that's a really good sign, man. I mean, I know it's early. I know it's the preseason. I know that the Titans were not a very good football team last year, but the 49ers are also out there with 0 starters for the most part, and they're they're showing out, man. I mean, Jaden Duggar, also another young guy who made a couple plays today. Romello Height made a couple plays today, got some nice push up front as well. And the one last guy that we got to bring up before we wrap up this what the 49ers did well segment, Kurtis Rourke. He looked great in this first half. 10 of 12 passing, looked really good against the Titans ones, 101 yards passing, and showed off a little bit of scramble ability with 14 yards on his 3 carries. He had that draw play. I would like to see him slide. I don't think Kurtis Rourke needs to show off the footwork. I don't think he's making anyone miss at this level. You know, maybe back in the Indiana days, like you could get a guy or two with that, but buddy, you aren't shaking anyone out of the shoes with those moves. so maybe just slide next time, you know. And I think that he'll probably be thinking about that pop that he got for a little while, because he did leave this game with a rib injury. Kyle Shanahan did say post-game that he went to the hospital and was struggling to breathe for a minute, but that overall the team wasn't too concerned. The imaging early on showed nothing major, and that he was just going to the hospital for like further imaging and examination. So sounds like an abundance of caution, not like a legitimate scary situation for him. So that's good. And the key to this is like knowing that you have Rourke as your third option and like a viable guy that you could maybe roll out there is a big deal for the 49ers. You still need to see more from him, I think, before you can fully obviously trust that guy. But if he is a guy who you think could be serviceable, it leaves the door open for a mid-season Mac Jones trade, because if you have a guy back down there in that third spot that you can trust, you can be a little more flexible. And as we know, you know, a guy like Mac Jones in the middle of the season could all of a sudden become very valuable for a team that loses a quarterback. So Ayrton, tell me what Rourke did good today. Tell me what he needs to improve on.
I mean, I think the biggest thing that we saw that he needs to improve on is sliding when he's moving, because this guy, as we're saying, he's a big dude, 6'4", 220. That's a big body. So you don't want to be, you know, taking on too many hits, but you know, you understand you have the size for it, but you just don't need to. It's okay. Don't put yourself in that situation. The thing that got me is it seemed like anytime the ball left his hands, you weren't necessarily concerned about where it was going to go. It seemed to be like everything was getting out on time, on target, which is something where this is a guy who, you know, pretty much redshirted his rookie year because of his late season ACL injury that he played through. And when he was at Indiana, you know, he'll have the moniker, I think, from here on out, that he was the Indiana Hoosiers quarterback before Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah.
He was the first one under Cignetti. So he obviously had some success there in Bloomington. But, you know, just kind of the big thing for me was like, if you've taken that much time away from the game, I'm sure Dwayne would understand this better than you or I, Eric, but if you're taking that much time off from the game due to injury, there's always some questions where it's like, when you get those first live reps against another team, you know, how is everything going to settle in? And he didn't look phased. That's the biggest thing, is it seemed like everything, ball was coming out on time, ball was coming out accurately, he wasn't holding on too long, unlike the other quarterback that suited up. So I think this is something where Rourke was a guy where he was a 7th round pick in 2025, but he was someone where if it wasn't for the ACL injury in a weaker quarterback class, there was definitely a situation where he's going earlier on day 3, maybe late day 2, just given his tools, given his size, and given what he did at Indiana. So this is something where, you know, you're saying that one of the, you know, Mac Jones probably has the moniker as one of, if not the best backup quarterback in the league right now. So if Rourke can show out and show up in a way that makes you feel like, okay, obviously Jones is well liked in this locker room. Shanahan and Lynch have talked, you know, ad nauseum about how much they value having a second quarterback they can rely on. Well, if you suddenly have 3 that you feel like you can rely on, could this be something where, you know, just if someone's kicking the tires, you know, week 6 or a key quarterback goes down for a team that wants to make the playoffs, has to make the playoffs, you know, this could be something that just gives the 49ers extra value. And finding that extra value and building it in the team is something that's just going to build into the future for a roster like this. So Rourke looked pretty good with most everything, but the biggest thing for me was just how quickly the ball came out and how everything just looked comfortable. It didn't seem too much for him whenever he was back there.
Yeah, Rourke, I thought, looked very poised in that pocket. I didn't think he looked like overwhelmed at any point in time. He didn't seem hesitant with guys around his feet, which is something you see a lot from quarterbacks with those knee injuries. And ultimately, I mean, you don't have to trade Mac Jones if you don't want to, right? Like if you just carry him throughout the rest of his contract, you're very likely going to get a compensational pick for him. So whatever offer you're going to get has to be better than that comp pick that you would predictably get if he was to go somewhere else and start. So the 49ers are sitting in a really good spot with the quarterback position right now. Brock Purdy has looked really sharp in in camp all the way. I mean, obviously we did not see him today, but he has looked really good in camp. He's been one of the mainstay highlights that everybody's been talking about from camp. And if this 49ers pass catching group, maybe not the whole offense, but the pass catching group looked this good with Kurtis Rourke, I can only imagine that it's going to look better with Brock Purdy. And with that, let's take a break here so we can get into some of the things on the other side that the 49ers maybe did not do so well, because there were a handful of things that the 49ers definitely needed to show you something more of today. And we'll get into those things next here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Today's show is brought to you by KALSHI. Before the season even kicks off, everyone's making predictions. Who wins the division? Who makes the playoffs? Who's lifting the trophy at season's end? On KALSHI, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade those predictions in a live market. Will the 49ers qualify for the playoffs this season? Well, right now, the 49ers are trading at 60%, meaning a $100 trade would pay out $167.48 if they clinch a playoff spot. On KALSHI, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Trade the draft pick, the game, and more on KALSHI. Download the KALSHI app and use code LOCKEDON to get $10 when you trade $10. KALSHI, KALSHI, trade on anything. 18 plus only. Restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Event contract trading involves risk and may not be suitable for all investors. KALSHI products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. And today's show is also brought to you by Indeed. When workplace chaos hits and you need the right hire, Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps connect employers with candidates who match specific needs like skills, certifications, and location. So less time gets spent on searching and more time gets spent on finding the right fit. People are finding quality candidates right now on Indeed. In the minute I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. Usually the biggest difference isn't someone doing more work. It's having somebody who knows exactly what needs to happen and helps everything run smoother. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less time, less stress, and more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of today's show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E. Engel, joined by Dwayne Board, 4-time Super Bowl champion, and Ayrton Ostley, analyst at Draft Calculus. And by the way, I got a bone to pick with K-Picks, man, because we came back from halftime, and they put up this nice little graphic that basically it said, who were the 49ers players to win 4 Super Bowls in team history? And obviously, They didn't throw up our guy Dwayne Board's name up there. What the hell, man? I mean, the question, what they should have put up there, because the question they were really asking was which players in 49ers history were active players during at least 4 Super Bowls, and it gave you the 6 players that were active players in those Super Bowls. But Dwayne, you were on 3 of those teams. You were coaching in one of those games. You got to be on that list too, man. What the hell? We gotta send K-Picks producers some stats, man.
It's AI generated, you can't trust it. Okay. you gotta bring the real truth in.
Oh man, the AI age, man.
Yeah, the AI age, okay. They gotta get somebody to check AI.
we got Dwayne Board's legacy being forgotten by all the AI robots out there, and man, we can't let that happen. We gotta inform the people. Dwayne Board, 4-time Super Bowl champion, San Francisco 49ers. Just had to get that out there, man. I saw that, and I was like, oh, that Dwayne's name better be up here, and then it wasn't. It kind of pissed me off.
Next show, I'm gonna hang my Super Bowl rings around my neck.
There you go. Like
a Super Bowl ring chain or something like that.
You got to be like Jerry Rice out there on the field, just showing them to everybody. Being back there with everybody for
you. Got your receipts. Your receipts, man.
You gotta show it. Huh? Your receipts. Tell the truth.
Exactly. Well, to bring it back to what we saw from the 49ers on the field tonight, a lot of good stuff from Stribling, a lot of good stuff from the young players along the defensive line. Ephesians Prysock with a great PBU at the goal line against one of the top receivers in this draft class. All good stuff. For the other side of that coin, 49ers offensive line, 49ers run game, not getting gold stars today from me. The line really didn't seem to get much push. Overall, the run game, just an average of 3 yards per carry on 28 carries, 84 yards. That's just not going to get it done. And guys, this was the story of almost every single 49ers loss last year. The 49ers became one-dimensional on offense and were unable to run the football. Is this a sign of more things to come that we saw last year, Dwayne, or is this going to be is this just preseason? Like, can we just chalk this up to the 49ers didn't have their ones out there? You didn't have CMC in the backfield. You didn't have Brock at quarterback. And that's why the offense kind of didn't click in both the run game and the pass game.
Well, I like to say that, but, until they get the guard situation settled, it's going to be a problem for them. So I can see, the next game, I can see them improving at their positions. They better improve at their position if they want to get a run game going, because they only have 2 more preseason games to before they hit the road with the Rams down under. So I really hope that they can find the right guy, but I'm still banking on there is a guy there somewhere.
I mean, it's a open competition, and Shanahan basically said post game, he was asked about why Connor Colby was starting at right guard and whether or not that was kind of an indicator as to who was getting the edge in the left guard battle. And Shanahan kind of just said, nah, it's just whoever doesn't win that needs to also be able to be the backup for both the left and the right side. And so he's kind of cross-training. It seems like he's kind of cross-training everybody at that position to be able to play both sides, both left and right guard, because he truly doesn't seem to know who is going to win that job yet. And I don't know. I mean, Dwayne, how do you feel about that? About the 49ers still having an open competition at a problem position that they've had since, it's not like this is the first year that they've had a question mark at that position. Pretty much since Aaron Banks has left, you've wondered who's going to be the left guard for this team. And the 49ers, I don't think, are any closer to answering that question now than when Aaron left.
Well, I think if they don't answer that question soon, the big thing is, hey, they might have to go find a guard that they can trade for and put in their left guard position. And I'm sure down the road somewhere, there's going to be a team that's going to have a guard that's servable for that position. But man, if they don't, we said it last year that give Brock Purdy solid protection up in the middle so he can step up and make the throws. They got to find someone. And I still think, it's early in the season and that it might be one there. I think so. I really do. So, like Shanahan, he's playing the game with the guard situation. Okay, I mean he's moving guys around, so he wants to see who can play the right guard is the easiest guard to play. So he wants to see who he can put over there, and he might move the right guard to left guard. Because it's harder to play the left side than the right, because you're going to line up with some great pass rushers. You're going to line up with some very good defensive linemen, and it's a tough position. So the right is a lot easier, just like playing right tackle. Right tackle is easy. You can wake up, you can come in at 4 o'clock in the morning, wake up and be ready to play a game at 10 o'clock playing right tackle, but you can't do that at left. Nothing on that left side works because most of your quarterback is what? He's left-handed. So that side is very, very important.
Yeah, and you have a guy like Jesse Sapolu, who was mentioned as one of those players who won 4 Super Bowls with the 49ers. Staple on the interior of the line for that team, played a couple seasons at the left guard spot for the 49ers. If you don't think the left guard is important, I mean, then why Jesse Sapolu was one of the mainstays for this 49ers Super Bowl era. So, I mean, talk about needing, an anchor in the middle. I mean, that's a perfect example right there of what having a guy who is, dominate in the interior of the offensive line can help provide, and I know that Jesse played center for the majority of his career, but the versatility in there, I think, is important because the 49ers obviously have massive injury issues every single year, and you're going to have to shuffle this offensive line. I mean, there's, a very slightly, I'm going to say it's a higher than zero chance, but very slightly higher than zero chance that the 49ers are able to stay actually healthy up front through the whole season. But more likely than not, you're going to have to plug some holes. That's just been how this team has gone. That's just the history of this team. So you got to have guys that are versatile. And so the cross-training thing, that's great. Having guys that can play both left and right guard. I still think that you're a little thin up the middle on the offensive line. Like Jake Brendel, I think this is a prove-it year for him. I think that he's got to step up this season. It can't be what we saw last year, or the 49ers might be trying to move on from him. Although depends on what metrics you're looking at, because I guess internally the 49ers really liked what they saw from Brendel last year. So I don't know, man. It just seems like that group cannot get super cohesive. And when you have Trent Williams on that line, like you should be able to get cohesive. So Ayrton, is this a situation where once the 49ers are able to get that left guard situation resolved, that you'll start to see this line sync up? Or are you expecting this team to continue to have more problems up front as the season goes?
I think the problem is if this team played in the NFC South, I would say it'll be okay. But this team plays in the NFC West with two of the most talented defenses in the NFL. I would be much less concerned about the interior if you weren't going to see Myles Garrett twice a year, and potentially, from all the sounds of it, potentially Aaron Donald again twice a year too. Oh my God! Sorry to bring up the boogeyman, but we got it. It's a reality we got to face. Or you're going up to Seattle playing the Seahawks twice a year with the guys they have on the defensive line. So just considering that, it's something where I'm one of the things I did after the game was I looked, I'm like, okay, what's the street free agent situation at the guard and center position currently? Are there any guys that maybe could do something? And it's a wasteland. And it's something where I'm definitely, I was concerned about that to begin with. And it's, my concerns haven't been quelled. And I really think it's something that's going to be a problem for the 49ers, especially earlier in the season, depending on, looking at the options of who's going to start at those guard spots. I mean, is it going to be a rookie? Is it going to be one of these free agent pickups? It's like, there's just so many. Is it going to be Connor Colby? What is it going to be? Just because, we wax poetic about how good Deshaun Stribling looks and how settled he looks. It couldn't be farther from that for, one of the more important pieces on the offensive line. You mentioned, how much the 49ers like Jake Brendel. Jake Brendel is going to be turning 34 this year. So this is a guy who's getting up there in age. And it's like, you got, questions at guard, and then you've got a center who, the team likes, but he's getting up there in age. And it's like, okay, just looking around at the rest of the skill position players, how well Brock played last year, it's hard not to feel anxious about what that could mean, how that could limit the ceiling of this offense, especially early in the season.
And this is something that we've seen, this is the Kyle Shanahan philosophy, right? To try and skimp on the offensive line. That is, if there's one weakness every single year with the Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch roster, it's the offensive line, because it's the one position that they think they can either find some reclamation projects hitting free agency that might work in their system better than whatever system they're coming from. They can find some undrafted free agents that they can mix in, some late round picks that they can mix in. That's just been their approach to the position virtually the entire time that they've been here, save for a few exceptions. But ultimately, I mean, other than just going out and getting Trent Williams, you kind of have just been rolling with whatever you can find leftover wise from everybody else. And that's not trying to take a shot at Jake Brendel or the rest of the 49ers offensive line. I actually think Dom Pooney is a pretty solid piece for them up front. But when I look at what they have, and I look at even Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy, that, I don't trust the interior of the 49ers offensive line to stop those guys. And then when I think about Aaron Donald potentially coming back and Myles Garrett and him running games, and I have nightmares, man. Like if you think that Leonard Williams and Byron Murphy are going to be hard to stop, oh my God, do I have news for you as to what's going to happen when Myles Garrett and Aaron Donald face off with the San Francisco 49ers. It is not looking good on this offensive line right now. And it's one thing when like to talk about like the pass rush and all that. Brock can do some things to kind of negate that, right? Like Brock's got some escapability. He can get the ball out quick. I don't really know what the solution is in the run game. Like there's nothing you can really do to counter a defense just punishing you up the middle every single time. Like you can't just run sweeps and tosses all game. That's not going to work. So Dwayne, if the 49ers are unable to shore up the middle of this offensive line, how can they generate any kind of a run game to be able to balance out this offense?
Well, they're going to have to come up with more finesse up front. They're going to have to finesse some people. They're going to have to run traps. They're going to have to run the influence traps, fades. They got to pull out all the old tricks. And that's one thing about the West Coast offense back in the Bill Walsh days. The guard position wasn't a big priority in the draft. You know, Bill Walsh would waste a draft pick on a tackle, but he wouldn't waste a high draft pick on a guard. So most of the guys in my career with the 49ers were guards who came at low draft picks. You know, Randy Cross was a high draft pick, but he was already there. But after that, you know, they used third and fourth round picks for the guard position. And in the NFL, the guard position is not as important as the tackles. Okay, so they're looking at that. Well, you know, we can get a guard who can just fill in and be solid, but not a great person, not a great player. But that's one thing that it's always been a West Coast offense. Even with Cal's dad, Shanahan, you know, Mike, when he was in Denver, his guards wouldn't, you know, they weren't high draft picks. They were just guys, you know, and that's the way it's been. Alex Gibbs, he coached those guys, and they had an offense that was scrappy. And, you know, that was one offense you hated to play against because those guys, man, they would do anything. They would bite your ankles, you know. They had guys who would get down and get gritty. And that's the thing that right now, the 49ers guards, I don't see them as gritty guys. I haven't seen them yet. You know, maybe they'll get a little gritty, but that's the way it is in that West Coast offense. You know, you get some gritty guys. You know, you go back and look at the 49ers when Bill Walsh had them. You talked about Jesse. Jesse was gritty. Okay, you look at Guy McIntyre. He was a gritty guard.
Yeah.
And then you come along, you look at Ray Brown. Ray Brown was the guy. He was gritty. And don't even bring up your guy. You know what I'm talking about.
Kevin Gogan.
Kevin Gogan. He was gritty. That's what it takes to play guard. You know, you don't need a guy that's real flashy or a guy that's gonna knock somebody off the line of scrimmage inside and push them back 3 or 4 yards. Those guys that works at guard position, they're gritty. They're gonna keep. You know, they're going to do whatever they got to do to protect the quarterback and get the running back in the open. So that's what they have to do. They got to find 2 guys that can line up inside and be gritty and ready to work for 17, 18 games a season. That's what it takes to be a guard.
I really hope that guy is on this roster, Dwayne.
Well, they can find a gritty guy.
I do not think you're going to find that guy on the scrap.
Well, we haven't seen him yet.
And there's one guy who I still am really hopeful for this offensive line is Carver Willis. I think that he can be a guy who is going to have to come on later in the season. I don't think he's going to win this job. It sounds like he's kind of the third option right now at the left guard position. But I think that gives him time to kind of work on some stuff, right? Like he's not going to be pressed to try and like maintain a starting role or anything. He's a guy who's going to have time to hone in on the things he really needs to improve at the NFL level. Maybe by like week 8, week 9, you'll start to see him potentially able to work into this offensive line. But he's a guy who's pretty big, and maybe he can be a mauler on the inside. You know, like
that's what I'm saying. He got to be
these other options.
Yeah, he got to be a mauler. He got to be gritty. He got to be a nasty guy. He got to be an MMA championship fighter. Do whatever it takes. That's what it is. That's what guards are. That's the way they've been molded in the NFL. You go back and look at the guys that played inside back in the old days. Man, Conrad Double, he was a dirty guy and gritty, and that's the guard's position. That's guard to me. When you say guard, you saying a gritty person. His job is to guard the quarterback at all costs.
I mean, you guys know my favorite guard of my lifetime for the 49ers. I bring him up all the time. Mike Iupati was one of my all-time favorite offensive linemen to watch. I think that guy, every time that he had a pull play, that he just in the huddle was probably just smiling because he knew he was going to get to absolutely blow up a linebacker from the blind side and just send him into just another dimension. So I just want, is it too much to ask for? Where's my Mike Iupati for the 2026 San Francisco 49ers? I just want one Mike Iupati on this team. Is that too much to ask for?
And guess what? You would look at him, he's gritty. He was gritty. Okay. So yeah, you can't have those guys that bring the apple every day and give it to your coach. You don't want a guy like that. You want a guy that's gonna bring your coach a rotten apple and an old stale peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Okay.
I always think of whenever I think of guards, one of the main like spokesmen for offensive guards is obviously Mark Schlereth, who has been on TV for most of my lifetime as a talking head. And of course, I think everyone has heard the Mark Schlereth story of how he wasn't really fond of using like the actual bathroom during games, and the bathroom was just his pants during the game. That's the kind of guy that you need at the guard position, a guy who's just gonna leave it all out there, literally leave it all out there. That's what you need at the offensive guard position. Let's take a quick break here. On the other side, we got more to wrap up from tonight's game. We got to get into a little bit of the special team stuff because there was a little bit of a surprise at the punter position for the 49ers, and we saw how that kind of shook out today. And you also had some more things from today's game that we got to get into as well. We'll be right back here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime. There are more live events than ever worth seeing right now. Games, concerts, comedy shows, festivals. Outside Lands was just here in San Francisco last weekend. The hard part usually isn't deciding what you want to attend. It's actually getting the tickets. Between long wait times, confusing checkout processes, and surprise fees, buying tickets can feel like way harder than it should. That's why so many fans are turning to Gametime. The app is built to make buying tickets simple with upfront pricing, seat views before you buy, and exclusive savings opportunities that help you get to the events you want without the usual hassle. My biggest pet peeve is when you think you found a great deal, get all the way to the checkout, and suddenly the final price looks completely different. Gametime takes the guesswork out of all of this. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets to every type of event with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by Dwayne Board, four-time Super Bowl champion. We got to update the people at K-Picks about Dwayne Board's 4 Super Bowls. And Aaron Oxley, analyst at Draft Calculus. And guys, before we get into some of the special teams discussion, I want to talk a little bit about this 49ers running back situation, because as we know, we did not see Christian McCaffrey. Kalen Black still dealing with that groin injury, which I am kind of a little concerned might nag him going into the season, which is kind of where I'm coming at looking at this crop of running backs that we saw today from, because obviously Jordan James, broken ribs, he's not going to be available for a little while. If this groin injury for Kalen Black is like a thing that causes him to miss time, I did not see a damn thing from anybody out there that gives me confidence that somebody can spell Christian McCaffrey. And that is going to be a huge key for this 49ers offense this year. You cannot ride Christian McCaffrey as hard as you rode him last year. So, Ayrton, what'd you see from these running backs? Anybody out there that, Sincere McCormick doing it for you? Or, I mean, I really don't have a solution from what I saw today.
Yeah, me neither. But part of me, I have to try to think about this. I look at, we spent so much time talking about the guard positions and the guard questions, where you have to kind of also take this with a grain of salt, that it's like, would Christian McCaffrey have had a lot of success behind this offensive line in a game like this? So I'm trying to balance what we saw with what was going on up front, especially considering the Titans weren't necessarily resting all their starters on defense. So you got to kind of take a little bit of each. Honestly, I mean, McCormick was doing a great job of just kind of eating the carries, 10 carry, finished the day, 10 carries, 38 yards. His longest run was 7 yards, and he kind of just did what he could with what he had. But honestly, Sincere McCormick isn't really going to inspire you much. Kind of getting a couple of speedier guys with Khalil Herbert as well as Zamir White. I mean, I like Zamir White when he was coming out of college. Had some good flashes with the Raiders a bit ago before they drafted Ashton Genty, and he kind of took over, the main carries there. But there's not a ton that's making me feel great about this. And you kind of look at the landscape of that running back position, and it's just, Jordan James dealing with, a injury. We have Kalen Black dealing with a groin injury that we feel is just going to keep on nagging, because that's what it feels like for all the offensive skill position players. When they have some sort of soft tissue, it's just going to keep going. I mean, of them, I think I would feel the most excited, and granted, it's not super excited for Zamir White, just because I haven't seen much from him. So it's like, okay, maybe from him on the 49ers. I mean, so there could be something there. He could have a little juice to him, but it's just the landscape is not good. And there's not a lot. You got to really squint to find something good here.
I think I squinted hard enough, because there is one positive silver lining I can offer you guys here. And if we roll it back to Kyle Shanahan saying last year that whoever comes in next season to back up Christian McCaffrey has to be a good catcher of the football out of the backfield, has to be someone who can catch a pass. And Khalil Herbert, third leading receiver for the 49ers today. I mean, it was just a couple dump offs that he turned into bigger plays than they probably should have been. But I mean, he showed at least the ability to catch the ball, turn around, and run towards the other team's end zone. So, I mean, that's got to count for something, right? I mean, at least like an incremental something, or I don't know, man. We didn't see a whole lot from these 49ers running backs. I'm just trying to be positive, Dwayne. I'm trying to find any kind of positives here for the 49ers running back situation. Do you got a positive that you can offer me, or are we all out of positives?
Hey, we all out of positives. Only positive thing is that's coming up. They get to play again soon, and hopefully one of those running backs that's supposed to be backing up McCaffrey is going to play. So we hope Black is going to play. We would love to see him in the game before they get down, to the real nitty gritty when the season starts.
I would just love to see Kalen Black on a football field in general, because I'm excited to watch this kid play. I mean, from everything we've heard out of camp, this guy looks fast. He looks explosive. He looks strong. I'm excited to see this kid play at the NFL level and see what he looks like against real NFL defenses. One last unfortunate thing that we need to go over before we get into some special teams talk on the other side to wrap up the show. Adrian Martinez. Not a great showing for the 49ers fourth string quarterback, especially I think he looked just overwhelmed in the pocket. I think he was holding on to the ball for way too long. It would come out way too late. I mean, you saw Jordan Watkins getting open. I mean, a decent amount out there. Watkins looked, kind of crispy on those routes today. And he was having to just like sit down in the soft spots in the zone and just like completely stop running to wait for the ball to get there from Adrian Martinez. He showed you a little bit with his legs, but ultimately just 16 of 30 for 159 yards, just 5.3 yards per pass. He was sacked twice, a quarterback rating of 68.6. Not the best, but that's why he's the fourth string quarterback. And I think that we all can sleep soundly tonight knowing who won the 49ers third string quarterback battle, right, Ayrton?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's no debate. There's no debate about it. I mean, I know that I think Adrian Martinez, if I remember correctly, I'm just gonna double check real quick. Yeah, he won the UFL MVP honors.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, he's got that's in case anyone's wondering, that's the difference between the UFL and the NFL. So it's a little bit different up in the NFL. But yeah, just as you were saying, kind of like, we talked earlier about how Kurtis Rourke looked pretty poised, ball was coming out on time. The opposite could be said for Martinez. And, you want to say, I mentioned earlier, handicapping kind of what I'm thinking about with the running back situation, just what was happening with the offensive line. But you can do that one-to-one comparison with the quarterbacks here, because it's not like Rourke was, working behind the ones. So it's like, yeah, you speaking about Jordan Watkins, I liked what I saw out of him. A couple Ole Miss guys really showing out for the 49ers at the wide receiver position tonight. That was awesome to see. But yeah, like Martinez just, he did not inspiring a lot of confidence. And the good part is that's your fourth quarterback, not your second, not your backup. So, hey, at least there's that.
Yeah, I mean, he's a better emergency option than some of the emergency options we've seen from the 49ers in the past, maybe. But ultimately, I think if you get to the point where Adrian Martinez is starting games for the 49ers, you're long past having a competitive shot that season. So hopefully we just don't ever have to see that in a real NFL game. Dwayne, anything from Adrian Martinez that you wanted to get in before we get into
Well, only thing I gotta say, he looked like Kyle Shanahan's mustache, out of place. It looked like he got that thing out of when you go to the shop at the Halloween shop and pull one of them off the rack. So that's what Martinez looked like, and that's what Kyle Shanahan's mustache looked like,
Not a fan of the Kyle Shanahan.
Dashahan.
No, that thing gotta go. God, they did a close up on him. Ooh, man. Huh?
Oh,
what
man.
do you think, Aaron? What you give it? On a scale of 1 to 10.
A solid 3 at best. I was not into it either.
What about you, Eric?
I mean, he's no Goose from Top Gun. You know what I mean? He just he can't quite pull it off. I don't. I mean, maybe in the car crash he just lost the rest of the facial hair or something. You know what I mean? And we're just waiting for it to grow back. But poor Kyle Shanahan, man. I mean, the guy's had a rough couple of weeks, man. He has that very unfortunate car accident, and then he makes the very unfortunate decision with the mustache, man. It's just, you just can't win.
Yeah, somebody should have told him to stay in the house on that one, man. So that's what I say about Martinez. He should have just stayed in the house and not came out.
Not a great showing for Adrian Martinez, but hey, I mean, I don't think any of us were expecting him to light the world on fire. So
No.
On the other side, we'll wrap up tonight's show. We'll also give you a few special teams updates from today. Don't go anywhere here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by Dwayne Board, 4-time Super Bowl champion, and Ayrton Osley, analyst at Draft Calculus. And guys, we had a little bit of a roster shakeup for the San Francisco 49ers at the punter position. And you ended up with Corliss Waitman. And I mean, Lord Corliss. I mean, I'm a big House of Dragon, Game of Thrones kind of guy. So immediately he's Lord Corliss for now until the end of time. But he looked pretty good out there, man. I mean, he got some nice distance on his butt, some decent hang time. I don't know, man. I think the 49ers special teams is something that is often overlooked, but up until last year, it had been some rough sledding for this 49ers special teams unit. Last year, things seemed to get put back on the tracks a little bit. Jake Moody was jettisoned from this team, thankfully, finally, and Eddie De Niro Pinero came in and was nothing but money for the 49ers last season, and he showed you that in tonight's game as well, hitting a couple field goals in this one. The 49ers went into like it was funny watching them kick that field goal on 2nd and 10, you know what I mean? And then just to set up for their onside kick opportunity to just kind of get some special teams practice in. But I think that's important for this team. Like you need this team to be good on special teams, because we've seen so many times through the years the blunders on the special teams unit that have doomed this team. So anything that you saw today, Dwayne, that gives you a cause for concern or maybe excites you about this 49ers special team unit? Anything that you saw that just stood out?
Well, Wakeman, I thought he did a great job. His putts had great height on him and distance, and he's you know he's something that came alive. The only thing that didn't stand out was the return game. Still, I would like to see them find someone who can return kicks and punts.
Yeah, I mean, today you had Will Pauling and Sincere McCormick return, and Jordan Watkins ended up getting a punt return as well. Mostly Will Pauling getting most of the action back there. I don't know that that's what we're going to see in the regular season, but I mean, you had a 4.5 yard average return on 4 attempts. So, I mean, at least you didn't have any muffs.
No, you had no muffs, but
which
4.5 is
yeah. But hey, 4.5 yards. You'd like to see that number bump up a little bit. The 49ers, of course, Sky Moore last year was a great addition to the special teams unit. I have a feeling Debo will be in the mix returning these kicks. I also don't really need to see Debo returning kicks in the preseason, and I don't think Kyle Shanahan does either. I think we all know that he can do it. I have a feeling that's what we're going to see come regular season. That's all the time we got for you guys today here on the Locked On 49ers Squad show. Fun one, first postseason show of the year in the books. Thanks to all our everydayers for joining us on the Locked On 49ers Squad show YouTube channel and on the Locked On 49ers podcast feed. If you aren't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button right now. Make sure you join us for every 49ers postgame here on the Locked On 49ers Squad show. We'll also be bringing you a midweek show as well throughout the season. So you get to see our beautiful made for radio faces twice a week throughout the entire NFL season. So stay locked in with Locked On 49ers. For Dwayne Board, for Ayrton Osley, I'm your host, Eric Triple E. Engel. That's all the time we got for you guys today. We'll see you next time. Peace.